Shalom and greetings from Jerusalem, Jane. I want you to take a good look at this photo. I hope you can see it from the light. These are the 19 people who was brutally murdered here in Israel in about a month and a half. Executed, shot in their car, literally stabbed to death. Some of them was butchered with axes in front of their children. 19 here in Israel in a month and a half. Of course, the list of terror victims over the years, I don't even know the number of that. It is a very, very, very long list. When we see these terror attacks, why are they happening? People sometimes ask me. Well, for one reason only, because of the despicable lie and propaganda that the Jewish people are occupying their own country. Never in the history of this world has there ever been an independent Arab state called Palestine. Up until 1967, Israel was occupied by foreign armies, and Israel liberated, the Jewish people liberated their God-given lands, and they are not occupying anything. But that is the lie that is being broadcast on Arab news sites, in Arab schools, textbook. That is what they are being taught day in and day out. Al Jazeera is nothing but an anti-Semitic news channel, day in and day out, spreading the lies of occupation. Unfortunately, tragically, one of their journalists was killed yesterday. Many of the terrorists who has committed these terror attacks against Israelis are terrorists from the city of Jenin or around Jenin. 3 of the latest major terror attacks here in Israel was terrorists from Jenin. That city is packed with terrorists from different organizations. And yesterday morning, Israeli Defense Forces and several units was in that area carrying out anti-terrorist activities, meaning they were out there arresting wanted terrorists. Whenever that happens, they are always being met by these Palestinian fractions, terrorists, who is firing, and there's literally battle going on every time. Yesterday morning, that was the same scenario, and this journalist from Al Jazeera, unfortunately, tragically got shot. Literally within 10 seconds, Al Jazeera breaking news saying that she was plainly executed, targeted by an Israeli sniper, shot in the head, and that has been their story ever since, for the past 24 hours, which is a flat out lie because nobody knows. This was a journalist who has been broadcasting for 25 years in different Arab news sites and news outlets, speaking about the atrocities of the Israeli army against the Palestinian people, calling terrorists freedom fighters, resistance, talking about the brutal occupation, Israel being an apartheid state. These are not my words. I have been watching Al Jazeera, and this is the way her colleagues are describing her. Was she accidentally hit by an Israeli bullet, ricochet, or was she just plainly executed by Palestinian terrorists? Israel went out immediately and said, we would like to do full transparency. We would like to do an investigation together with the Palestinian authorities. Let's get to the bottom of this. Israel secure the freedom of the press. They will continue to do that, and they will take responsibility if they by accident hit this journalist. The Palestinian Authority was out immediately denying that. And they have constantly ever since stuck with this false claim that she was deliberately executed by the Israeli army. Israel said, let's investigate together an autopsy, let's look into the forensic to the bullet, because we can pretty quickly tell if this is our bullet or not. But the Palestinians, no thank you very much. What are you hiding? So everything is completely up in arms. Yesterday, when her body left the hospital in Jenin, it was draped in the Palestinian terrorist flag. There was a weapon on top of her dead body, and she was surrounded by different terrorist fractions, all covered up with their weapons, calling her a martyr, glorifying her. Today there was an official ceremony at Abu Mazen's palace, residential place in Ramallah, calling her the voice of Palestine, the daughter of Palestine, because she dedicated her life to tell the lie about the brutal occupation by Israel, which doesn't exist. The Jewish people are home in their God-given homelands. But you see her posters everywhere, and this is just so exaggerated. I can understand that people are mourning, that people are grieving. Someone lost a loved one, someone lost someone they care about. The journalists are outraged, the White House, the European Union, everybody is out giving a statement about this. Yes, journalists should be safe wherever they are, but when they are moving, putting themselves in the midst of gun battle, unfortunately sometimes accidents happen. If it was, or if she was hit by her own people who now have to bury her. Let's just put this a little bit into perspective. 19 Israelis was brutally murdered in a month and a half. 3 of them was executed, butchered with axes, one of them in front of his 6-year-old children. And many of the people who is now furious at Israel, spreading the lies that the Israeli army executed her, these are the ones who is out in the streets giving out candy, glorifying terrorists who is murdering Jews, celebrating when Jewish children, father, grandmothers are executed for no other reason than being Jewish. So let's get a little bit perspective here. Let me just emphasize again, Israel has offered full transparency. Let's investigate this together. So if the world community, the White House, the European Union, whatever your name is, if you want to do something, you pressure the Palestinian Authority and say, what are you covering up? You want to do your own independence, and we are going to trust that with you, who already from the second this happened were out saying she was killed by an Israeli sniper. We should trust you? Are you kidding? So tomorrow there's going to be a funeral in East Jerusalem. She was from Bet Hanina. Everything is up in arms. This could lead to a major escalation. This could lead to more terrorist attack. But you need to understand there is no proof that the Israeli army, it was their bullets. And we will never get to the bottom of this unless the Palestinian authorities agree to an open and thorough and joint investigation. Bye.